I am going to demonstrate how to collect GPS data with one unit like this. This is an Emlid RS Plus, and I'm going to show how to use the Emlid app to collect data just with this one unit, and then I'm going to correct that data with um, a NOAA CORS station here on Maui. So first of all, I'm going to turn on this RS Plus. Just hold down the power button. And then I'm going to open up, or first I'm going to set my phone to screen record so I can synchronize it later. Let me hold it up and okay, it should be recording. So I'm going to open Emlid Flow, and if you have it set to connect through Wi-Fi already, then it might show up because this has a built-in access point, but it's not connected. So let me go to my Wi-Fi on my iPhone and see if I can find this network. There's the reach hotspot, so I'm connecting to it, and then I can close my Wi-Fi options and go to Emlid Flow again, hit refresh, and it shows up with a IP address. So I just connect to it, and then you can look at your status and make sure it's actually receiving satellites. And so I'm going to go through some of the important settings. So the first thing is logging. It has to be logging, and one of the things you set up on these, or one thing I recommend, is to have it set to start logging as soon as you turn it on. So let me stop logging and go through some of the options for logging specifically. So I'm going to go to recorded logs and settings, and then hit the gear icon, and you can choose a custom log name, but I usually just use the default. And then the format, I always use UBX, which is proprietary, but you can convert it. Rhinex is a standard format that like Trimble and all those companies use, but it stores less data than UBX. Let's see, you can have it set to do things like split your logs every 24 hours if you're doing like long-term logging. Or you can have it do restart your logs at midnight UTC time, which is like Greenwich time in England. You can collect additional logs, like I like to collect this LLH, which is latitude, longitude, height, so I can look at that easily, and it's just like a CSV file, and you can see your position. Let's see, and then I usually keep this option, overwrite old logs, because I always copy them to a computer anyway. Now, the auto start, that's really important. You need to have it set, in my opinion, always to automatically start logging, because otherwise there's a possibility you forget. And the log is really important. And let's see, if you're collecting Rhinex, you can also have it do the UBX file as a backup, but I just do the UBX to save space. And that's all the logging settings, so I'm gonna hit apply. The other thing is go back to, let's see, settings, the main settings menu, not the logging settings. And then you go to GNS settings, and you have a few options in here. For the most part, these don't matter unless you're doing real time, where you're getting a signal on this with your correction data. Like a lot of surveyors will use a base station. You can use, if you have two of these, you can use one as a base, and you can use one for your field unit. I just have one right now. So most of these options don't really matter, because you get to choose them when you're doing your post-processing. It's kind of like if you do photography and you shoot RAW, the color settings and sharpening and things like that don't matter, because you're not just getting a JPEG. You have a RAW file and then you correct it later. It's kind of like that. So, but I'll show us what some of these are. Kinematic versus static. If you're walking around and you're collecting data while moving, you want to use kinematic. If you're collecting points, you want to use static. So I'm just going to have it set to static. Elevation mask. So the unit knows where satellites are in space because that's part of the data that gets transmitted from the satellites, the GPS, GLONASS, all those. And so it knows where they are. And so if you've got like vegetation around, like I do, you want to filter out the satellites that are behind vegetation to improve the quality of your data. So I'm just gonna, I'll increase that to 20 degrees, but it doesn't matter really because all of the data is getting logged from every satellite that it picks up anyway. So I'm gonna set that to 20, knowing that it kind of doesn't matter. And then the signal to noise ratio is kind of similar. It filters out weaker signals. I've always just left it at 35. The GPS AR mode, I think that's a similar thing to like the positioning mode. I don't know exactly, but I'm gonna set it to fix and hold because I'm just collecting points right now. And let's see. Same thing for this GLONASS thing, I think. I'm just gonna leave that as on. And then your systems that you're using are all in the next section, so you probably want to check everything. And then GNS update rate, I almost always use 5 Hertz. If you're collecting a static location over a long period of time, like if you're leaving it in place for like a day or more, you might want to switch to 1 Hertz to reduce the amount of storage that gets taken up. But I'm just going to use 5 Hertz, so it's going to collect 5 points every second. I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to close this menu. And then for what I'm going to show today, nothing else really matters as far as your settings. Let me go back to logging and start logging. Make sure it's logging. Because I had stop logging before, so let's see, go back to receivers, and then from this screen you can then actually start your project. So I'm going to hit survey, and I'm going to hit plus on the upper right, and I'm going to call this Wailea April 28, and then I'm just going to hit save. And this is basically a map that you do your data collection on, but there's a couple things that are really important that you need to set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the plus. This is how you collect your first point. One important thing to set though is the rod height, and so I'm not using a rod. I'm just using the unit with a magnet on the bottom that I can use it to attach to things like fire hydrants or my car, things like that. But this magnet and the screw that attaches it is exactly 2 centimeters. So 2 centimeters is my rod height. That's the distance from the base of the unit to the ground, or whatever it is you're collecting the position of. And that gets factored in as an offset because it's calculating its position, but then it says, okay, we're going to subtract 2 centimeters and get the position of the ground. So I'm going to set that. It's already set to 0.02 meters. Wait, it's not 0.02. 0.02. Okay, it takes a few tries sometimes. And then it also knows what unit it is, which is the RS plus. And see, there's this diagram here that shows you that the pole plus the position of the antenna within the unit is factored in. So the actual antenna is close to the top of this white part, and so all the math and everything is figuring out the position of that antenna up here, and then it has to subtract 6.5 centimeters, and then it has to subtract 2 centimeters, and then gets the position of what it is you're collecting. And if you have a rod, it'll be 6.5 centimeters plus I don't know, 2 meters or 1 meter, whatever it is you have it set to. So I'm gonna hit save, and then the other option is that gear option menu, is that gear thing on the lower left. It says a few settings. The first one is fix only, which you want to have turned off unless you're doing real time, and even then you don't need to have that set, so I never use it. I want to collect data whether the unit thinks I have a fix or not. I just want to collect, and I don't want to limit precision. I just want to collect, and then, you know, if it's not accurate enough or whatever, then that's a separate thing to worry about, rather than being blocked from collecting data because it thinks you're not accurate or it thinks the conditions aren't right, whatever. So I keep those off, and then the other thing is the timer, and it'll collect data as long as that timer is running. So I'm gonna actually turn that up to 1 minute and hit save. And now I'm ready to collect my first point. And so I'm gonna collect that manhole right there, that rusty old manhole. So I'm gonna call it manhole 1. And I'm gonna put the GPS on there. Okay, so that GPS is on the manhole. Ready, you can also put in a description. So I'm gonna put a description as rusty. And then I'm gonna hit done. You can hit measure. When I was over here with the unit, it was logging. When I put it down, it was logging. But then it was only when I hit start, it's just saying we're gonna take the data from here, this point in time to this point in time, and use that position data, do some kind of averaging, sophisticated math, and get a point. So that 1 minute is done, and I could collect some more, but there's not really stuff around here to collect. Maybe I can get some plants and stuff. Yeah, so let me turn my camera. Well, I'm gonna grab it. And I'm gonna turn around, and so this is kind of a landscaping area of this resort, but also a gulch. And there's all these taro plants around, I think. I don't think they're elephant ears. But I'm gonna collect some points along this edge. So I'm gonna put this down. And it may not be that accurate because of the plants, but I'm gonna just do some real quick, fast collection just to show. So I'm gonna actually call this edge 1. I'm gonna hit measure. But I'm not gonna let it go a full minute. I'm gonna hit accept when it reaches like 20 seconds. And then it'll just do that 20 seconds. And I'm gonna move it. Now I'm gonna hit measure again. So I'll go for 20 seconds. And hit accept. Is it accepting? Okay. So I'm gonna grab that. Okay, so now it's right there, and I think I can, yeah. So now I've got one more point, and I'm gonna hit measure. I shouldn't stand right next to it. So I hit accept. Get a few more points along here, so I guess what I could do is select that point. And I will hit accept. And that's probably, oh, there's a cardinal. Okay, so that's probably enough points just for this demo. So I'm gonna now show the next step, which is I'm gonna hit the left arrow to go back, and then I'm gonna go back again to projects, and that project is listed now. So I hit the dot dot dot, and I can export a CSV file, and I'm just gonna email it to myself. That's the easiest way I've found. So that's going through me now. And then I'm gonna go back to receivers. I'm gonna go to logging, and I'm gonna hit stop logging. And then I'm gonna go to recorded logs and settings. And the log I just collected is right there, 11 minutes. Seems like it should be longer, but I'm gonna hit download. And then I can again email that to myself. Two. Okay, that is being sent to myself. Now, you can turn these off from the menu. So I'm gonna go to, let's see, hit the reach on there and then do shutdown, and then it'll turn off. So, or you can use the switch on the unit. That's it. That's the field collection part. And so next I will show the post-processing part. Now I am going to do differential correction using a log downloaded from NOAA CORS, the station closest to me here on Maui. And so the first thing I'm going to do is create a folder for all my files. So I'm going to make a folder. I'm going to call it April 28th, and I was in Wailea. And I'm going to get my email. I had emailed myself the files, so I can save my project CSV file to, let's see, Emlid April Wailea, and then just need to go to the other email and save the log file from the reach. So those are saved in this April 28th folder. So I can now, well, first let me just view this project file, the CSV. So it has the points that I collected, and the description, all that stuff. It has lat long. These are not accurate though, just regular GPS accuracy. And also for each point there's the averaging start and averaging stop time. So again, this project file doesn't store the actual log. It just says take the log for this particular point, go from this UTC time to this UTC time, and average those points together. And it's more complex math than just like the average of all those locations, but pretty much it's getting a more accurate location from multiple readings. So, and for each point it's like that, and they all have different numbers of samples, because the first one I let it run for the whole 60 seconds, 1 minute, with 5 points every second, so that comes out to 300. And the others I stopped earlier because I wanted to go quickly and not take forever. So that gets used to calculate the accurate height of whatever it is you had the unit on, whether it's the pole or the magnet or whatever, tripod. So I am going to go back to the folder. I'm going to unzip that zip file. So I'm going to extract all, and there's that folder. And there's the UBX file, which is the raw data, and also an LLH file, which is just the approximate GPS position. So you can open this with Notepad, and you can see your uncorrected, inaccurate coordinates. And this is the entire log, so you can see the times and everything in UTC. So I guess it was UTC a little bit after midnight, so that makes it easy. Easy to find the CORS data. So let me go to the CORS website. I'm going to actually open a new browser. Go to CORS. Let's see. No, I didn't. I meant to do it in a new browser window. So let me just Google CORS. NOAA. Okay. Continuously operating reference systems, but this website looks different. Let's see. Maybe I meant to go here. CORS download. Not supported. Okay, use user-friendly CORS. I'm gonna bookmark this. Control D. Okay, so from my LLH file, I can get the time frame I need. So this is one way this makes things kind of convenient. So I need just from 18 minutes after midnight Greenwich time to 29 minutes after midnight Greenwich time. So start date is going to be the 29th, which is, it's already tomorrow in England. But the start time is just going to be 0 ETC, and I'm just going to download 1 hour of data, and I'm going to pick the site, which, if you know it, you can just pick it, but I just opened the map with this link, and so I'm going to navigate to where I am located, which is on Maui, and I'm in this area, but there's 2 CORS stations at Haleakala. One of them is non-operational. Okay, and this one was non-operational, I think, for a long time. And then I think after the fire in Lahaina, they started running it again. And it's run by JPL. And so, let's see. I can go back. Oh, and the code for site ID is HAL1. So I just need to go back to here, choose HAL1. Let's see, HAL1, and then I want to get all signals, and I want to get all the metadata. This IGS orbits, I think, is the positions of the satellites. So download, and there it is. Now I can, it'd be nice if I could just choose where it goes, but let me go back to my folder, and then I'm going to paste this into my Leia folder. And I'm going to unzip this to its own folder. Okay, so now I've got the Haleakala log and all the metadata, and I've got my log from my GPS, and I have the CSV file. So now I can open Emlid Studio, and I can choose. So the method I'm going to use is stop and go, which is how you use a project file. So I'm going to choose my base station first. I like to do it in that order. So I just have to go to my folder, and then the Haleakala, and then the 24.0 file, and it automatically loads the coordinates from the file. Now the rover is going to be my reach folder in that UBX, and in this mode you don't get to choose your antenna height. In here it's because it's already in that CSV. And then I'm going to go to the options and show the important ones, and let's see if I can turn on highlights. Yes, now I've got yellow highlights. So in this menu, there's a couple things that are important. One is use base observations. That's the whole point of what we're doing, is to use the base data to correct the field data. And then the filter type, I always use combined. It seems to get better results, but I don't know really what it means. The elevation mask and signal to noise ratio were options in the phone app, but they're also options in here. So this will just override whatever, or I mean, the number in here will get used for post-processing, not whatever you had set on the app. And what I did was collected fixed points. Like, I wasn't collecting while moving. Like, I didn't have the GPS mounted to a car, or I wasn't walking along a trail or anything. I was collecting discrete points. And so I'm going to choose that option for GLONASS and GPS. And the next important thing is the coordinate system you want to get. I always use lat long and height. The time format, this one's really important because it defaults to GPS time, which is not, it doesn't match other things because it doesn't have leap seconds like UTC does. I think because the rotation of the Earth is slowing down, we keep having to add leap seconds. And so UTC is going to match everything else, like cell phones. Pretty much any official clock is going to be UTC, plus the time zone offset. And for the lat long format, I always use decimal degrees because that's one number for your coordinate. Degrees, minutes, and seconds, less straightforward if you're importing to GIS or anything like that. This is just more straightforward. And save those options, and I think we're ready to process. So I'm going to click, and it's running. There's the data. And so we've got float and fix points, and you can see this is the entire log that was collected, all corrected, and you can kind of see where I was at first with the tripod and the camera when I was talking for a while, and then I think this is probably the manhole, and then these are probably the point site GPS along the grassy area. But you can see there's different levels of accuracy basically, and I won't go into what these mean, but basically it's degrees of accuracy. So I've got the log, and now I can load the CSV. So I'm going to hit that button, and then I'm going to go back to the folder and choose that Hawai'i CSV. And I want all data qualities. I'm not going to exclude float or single. I'm going to get everything. Hit start. And yeah, that looks accurate. That looks like what I collected. The manhole and then the other points. So I mean, you could click these and then write down those coordinates and put them somewhere else, or copy and paste. Or you can do show result files. And in that reach folder where I had unzipped the log, there's a new CSV created that has the coordinates, but they're accurate this time. And they've got some additional statistics. One thing is they're listed as global coordinate system, but they're really NAD83PA11 because the base station coordinates are in NAD. It doesn't show me anymore on here, but the base station coordinates that were loaded from that CORS file are in NAD83 Pacific Plate 11, which is like an ocean. It's for the Pacific Ocean, basically. And so Emlid Studio doesn't really understand coordinate systems the way GIS software does. So it doesn't do conversions. It just assumes the coordinates are in WGS84. And long story short, if you take your coordinates from this file, load them into GIS as NAD83 PA11, they will pretty much be fine. The offsets all kind of cancel out. And there's more to it, but I'm not going to get into every crazy detail of that. At least not in this video. But I'm opening ArcGIS Pro, and I'm gonna try to load this CSV file. So let me open my project, and then I'm gonna wait for it to load. Where's the updates? Okay, and I already have in here a orthomosaic, and I have some data I collected yesterday. So I'm going to zoom to my orthomosaic file, and then I'm going to go to that same folder, and I'm going to drag and drop that CSV, the corrected CSV. And there it goes. It's right there. So I can open this, make sure it loaded correctly. Yep. Now you can right click on that and then do create points from table, XY table to point. So it recognizes field names, and it knows that X is longitude, Y is latitude. The coordinate system though is wrong, like I was saying. It's not WGS84, it's this PA11. So I've got it in my favorites, and but you can search for it in here, and you'll find your local coordinate system, whatever it may be. It should be in ArcGIS already. So you choose that, and then I like to choose it in here too, output coordinate system. And okay, the coordinate system is chosen, hit OK. and it will create your points, and they are black, so they're hard to see. So let me change them to red. Close this, zoom into where they should be, and that looks pretty good. This was the manhole, which you can see right there, and points I collected along this grassy edge, and they're probably not super accurate because of all the vegetation. But yeah, it looks pretty good. And you can open this attribute table and you can look at your data and see all the lat longs, elevations, and stuff like that. It even still has the antenna height, number of samples, all that kind of stuff. So pretty useful metadata. And it's in GIS. You can do whatever you want with it now.